Hello, everyone. Welcome to Game Junk Prototype episode 99, recording on Sunday, March 20th, 2022. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Andrew.
And today we're going to be talking about the state of play for Hogwarts Legacy, the recent ID at Xbox event with a bunch of indie titles, a little bit of Starfield talk, and we all played Tunic and maybe some other stuff. So how's everyone doing?
Pretty good. Maybe not Huck,
great.
but I'm doing good.
I mean, this is Huck's time of year. It's NCAA tourney.
Oh, I am loving the basketball, that's for sure. I got some minor symptoms I'm a little worried about. So I'm going to bed right after this, getting a good rest, and hopefully I'll be good for basketball on Thursday. We set.
I've got a bet in on Villanova and Duke individually to win the tournament. So
Interesting. I have Duke and Gonzaga. You gotta go with Coach K. I mean, come on, it's Last Dance.
after the last regular season game was a disaster, I'm wondering if there's going to be a bounce back story here. Not that I care about Duke, but okay. Let's start with the state of play for Hogwarts Legacy. This is an open world magic game. I think a lot of people are describing it as Bully meets Harry Potter or Hogwarts. Now, a game like this existed in some ways. Like, it wasn't as open world and as AAA, but I remember playing one on 360 that was similar to that. Like, and it wasn't very good. This one is the first like big budget Harry Potter game, I'd say, that has a lot of effort put into it. It's made by Avalanche Studios, who worked on Just Cause and Mad Max. I'm not a fan of Just Cause. I know some people love that series. I am not huge on it. Mad Max I liked, but I only put about 3 or 4 hours in. I am not the biggest Harry Potter fan. I never really got into it. I've seen the movies twice each, so this game isn't like really on... I mean, it's on my radar, but it's not like a hugely anticipated game. The video looked pretty good. I know we talk about this with games a lot, and like, can you imagine playing them? I can't. I'm having a tough time imagining the combat with the spells in this. Like, I'm imagining it's some kind of rhythm or system, maybe a paper, rock, scissors system based on what I've seen. Am I remembering the video wrong? Was there like an absence of HUD or helpers in the video? Because I don't know how you're going to switch spells and how it's like, I don't know. I'm still not convinced that the combat is going to be fun, but the effects look really good. Like, the particle systems for the actual magic look amazing. Now, to be fair, I've been playing Elden Ring a lot, and the magic is not that exciting in that game, but I keep doing it anyway. So I don't know. I look at this game and I'm like, what are the systems? Like, how is this game going to work? And the magic's the biggest question mark. The magic duels, like, didn't look like that much fun. They visually looked pretty good, but I can't see it happening.
Well, couldn't you imagine it being just like Arkham?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what Mad Max was too, right? It was like...
Oh, was it? I didn't play much Mad Max.
It was a rhythm, like, basically how those Warner Brothers games all took Batman and then did movie versions with different types of combat, like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. So I'm interested to see if they take like a magic approach to that rhythm combat, but that didn't seem like it was there on screen to me at all from what I saw.
There's like no HUD at all.
Yeah, I mean, people I think are like reacting to certain spells and all this Harry Potter stuff that are in it. I don't even know what they're talking about. I mean, I thought it looked okay. The broomstick stuff looked interesting from a like high level of detail when you were like high in the air, but there were some moments when you're close to the ground, it looked kind of slow and boring. Like it was, like the technology looked interesting, but like the animation for riding a broom looked pretty lame. But that was probably the worst part of the video for me. What did you guys think?
Well, it's one of Huck's most anticipated games, so let's hear from Huck first.
Okay. I thought it looked pretty incredible. I have not read all the books. I think I've read 3 or 4 of the books, and I don't think I've watched the last 2 movies, so I wouldn't consider myself like a huge Harry Potter guy. I might have seen part 1 of the Deathly Hallows, but that's about it. But I like the stories. I like the world of Harry Potter, and I like that this is going to be set kind of like 100 years before the books, essentially, I believe is what they said. Like late 1800s or something like that.
Yeah, I think I saw that somewhere. In the movies, or like, did Merlin go to this school? Like, they kept mentioning Merlin. Is that a new thing, or is that?
I don't know if he went to this school or he was just a famous magician.
I don't remember that from my limited exposure. So,
but I did notice on the end title card, which I found very interesting, there was another studio called Portkey Games, and I was like, "Who's that?" I looked it up.
Yeah,
I looked it up, and they're a mobile studio. They specify in Harry Potter mobile games. So obviously, they're also planning some sort of spin-off to this mobile game, either an adaptation or some sort of integration, which could be gross or could be fine, depending on which of those they decide to do.
There was some talk about like not. Well, is this okay? Maybe the Avalanche thing is off then, because is that the studio? I thought it was like going to be some new like series of, and I thought I read something.
They're both listed, Avalanche and Portkey Games.
And is that the company that did Disney Infinity? I saw something about that somewhere too.
Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've seen Portkey Games listed more than Avalanche. Like, I wasn't really even paying attention to the Avalanche part.
Yeah, for a sec, I don't even know where I got that from, because when I looked up Avalanche, it's not even listed there. Am I even right about Avalanche? Why did I think that?
It's there. Avalanche is listed.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. It was in the video, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was announced that they did. I just think so. On the Portkey Games website, it's like 5 Harry Potter games. That's it. That's all they say.
So it sounds like that's a publisher label.
Yeah.
It says published by Warner Brothers under its Portkey Games label.
Which I assumed is like this brand for all the Harry Potter games. It's like, what was the Universal Monsters rebranding or something like that?
Dark Universe?
Yeah, they're it's all branding bullshit. So
Okay. Oh, that makes sense then. I thought it was all mobile games that they focused on, but that would make sense because it is just Harry Potter games, so that would make sense that this is like their game division of the publishing arm or whatever kind of thing. And the name fits. But overall, I thought all the video looked really incredible. I thought the visuals were great. Like Frank was saying, the effects looked incredible. I thought a lot of the environments looked pretty true to, a school. And I do question sort of like the school aspect of it. Will that be fun? That'll be probably, Bully was fun.
Which is an interesting thing, because like that's what like Persona is known for, right? Like these relationships and like the school aspect along with battle. So yeah, I could see that.
But with Persona, Persona's not really about the school though. It's about the people in the school.
Sure, yes.
School is just a setting. So I hope they don't like, because Persona, the amount of school you do is like one multiple choice question every few days. Like that's it. It's not like you're sitting down and like brewing a potion, which I feel like they might be leaning to on this one, which may not be as fun.
Yeah, like I'm sure the classes will be mini games, kind of like what Bully was, and I think that old Harry Potter game was like that too. But if you're looking for mini games and ways to go with this stuff, we didn't really talk about this that much, but It Takes Two had really good mini games, and especially if they're like it's combat mini games for spell class. Like I'd be looking at that game for inspiration for mini games, because I don't think a game's ever done it better than that. Like even when we did one-off mini games in that game, Sean, like it was super fun, and like they were simple. They're basically ripping off real life games or things you do in reality and turning it into a game, but they should be looking there for inspiration.
I gotta take issue with no one's ever done it better. Mario Party, WarioWare, pretty amazing mini games there.
Those are
but
micro games, Sean.
Well, I guess the WarioWare one for sure, but
that's the term for Wario games. Is there an actual? Is it micro?
The original game, I think, was called WarioWare micro something, maybe. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I actually I like the idea of Hogwarts as the kind of place where this is set. Like I kind of, that's the thing that's selling me on this, is like just being able to explore Hogwarts. Like it seems like it's not like you're not exploring a whole city, but like it's a cool place that there would be lots of hidden corners where weird stuff's going on, and I could see that being kind of fun. And that's what
I found the outdoor stuff not that riveting visually, but the classrooms felt like really dense, and like everything was animating in the school, like that kind of creative animation, like how doors opened looked interesting, which is, if you think of the movies, there's lots of stuff like that happening. So sure, there's a lot of I think I said it's long. Like it's a big AAA RPG. I don't know what that means exactly, but
well, they did show a lot of like magic unlocking bridges and stuff. So I imagine you'll come across a lot of gated areas that you can only unlock later on as you get, the spell that creates the bridge or the spell that opens the door, that kind of stuff. So I feel like they'll probably get a lot of mileage out of, dangling the carrot in front of your face in a bunch of different areas of Hogwarts, and then you kind of just return to those places and can progress a little further.
But I mean, the school, like Hogwarts, I think, like in terms of size, isn't as big as a lot of open world games. So, like, I mean, the school could be huge. That's where they could do that, but it might be boring to do that in a school over and over again. So, like, I'm sure you could go other places. I wouldn't even care if it's not big. Like, I don't necessarily love big open world games, but I could see people complain.
Yeah, that's what I like, is that it feels like it's going to be kind of like a medium-sized open world game, like not too crazy. But they do mention, was it Hogmeade or something? The town that's beside Hogwarts is part of it as well. So I'm not sure how big that is, but
okay. I feel like those things are going to play a bigger role in the game.
Could be, yeah.
So I was just nitpicking the combat video, and it looks very Arkham-like in that when you're about to be attacked, it looks like there's a little like shield bubble effect that goes over your character, and that's obviously like the counter button, like in Arkham. And then he does some sort of like defensive magic spell. So I have a feeling it's going to be like, your face buttons, or most of your face buttons, are some sort of spell mapping, and then you have one defensive spell that is like your counter move. Probably similar to Batman. So I bet it's going to be just like that.
That seems kind of strange to me, in the sense that, like, I remember them disabling, like pulling someone up in the air by their feet or something like that. I don't know what spell it was, but like, you would think part of the fun for like meaningful play for the player would be like, how do I want to disengage this enemy and use different spells? And if it was always mapped to certain buttons, like, it's almost not doing that with spells. So I don't know how they're going to get around that. The other weird design thing to me is, how do you like have someone staying in place? Like, they don't move that much. Like, it's almost like a standoff when they're doing spells in these big scenarios.
That was the thing that struck me the most about the combat, was that everybody's just standing. Like, there's a couple sections where like somebody dodges quickly or like rolls or something maybe, but like for the most part, it's just like standing and casting, and it felt very static.
And I'm going to talk about a game dev thing. When we worked on X-Men Destiny, we kind of overhauled the combat at one point, and it went from like kind of a brawler to like, how do we use the powers to do melee combat or combat, right? So the one character had projectiles, and we basically built combos that like looked like projectiles that are just attacks that, you're punching, but they extend further with like effects on splines and stuff like that. And some of the parts looked like that. It looked like just casting spells. So it's like almost a melee combat that extends like a bit of a range, which, I mean, in practice, it looked better than what we were thinking of, but it feels like button mashing to some degree. So, I mean, to me, this game comes down to the combat. Like, is the combat going to work? Does spell casting work? I would think they prototype that stuff first. If that, like, it's kind of like swinging in Spider-Man. If you don't get that aspect of the game down, why even worry about the systems and world and stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
I am a little disappointed I don't know if they said this in the presentation or not, but I'm pretty sure they've said that it's not multiplayer in any way. There's no local or online co-op or anything like that. It seems like a game that could benefit from that, but yeah, it's just single player as far as I know.
I think that's all. I think that's all I had to say about it. Anyone else?
No, that's it for me. I just think it looks pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little weird, I guess, that you would expect the characters from the movies and from the books to be showing up, and there's a few kind of supporting characters in there, but obviously, like Harry Potter himself, people like that are not in this game.
I like that they're not.
Yeah, like it could be a good thing. Like that could kind of, just tell your own story and immerse yourself more in the world without worrying.
There was
about
character
sticking
creation too, so that's a big part of it. And
yeah.
Do we grade the single game state of plays? I don't think we have.
Not usually, but
no grades. Keep it consistent. All right, let's talk about the ID at Xbox, which was an indie showcase. Now, this was really interesting to me because we've talked a lot about whenever there's these indie showcases, I'm always, wow, every game looks amazing, like art style, crushing it, everything. And this is the first time out of recent memory where I was like, I don't even know if I like 80% of the games in this showcase. Like, now part of it is genre, because I felt like this is a Huck City showcase. There's detective games, strategy games, like kind of these, like a lot of dialogue, dating sim-ish type stuff in here, which are not genres that I play all that much and that crazy about. So I was really like, nothing stood out to me as like, oh, I cannot wait to get that game at all. The only one for me that I was like, I'll probably get that, even based on the idea golf-like for Curse to Golf. I liked kind of the parody of like genres. So a golf-like, that's a good marketing gimmick to me. It's better than 2.9D. And I thought Curse to Golf, I didn't even watch the full video, but that concept seemed like fun. And I thought the wrestling RPG, WrestleQuest, looked interesting. I thought that was a cool take on an RPG. Even some Citizens of Earth vibes a bit there in the overworld and stuff like that.
Yep.
Am I right that this was like there was the Chinatown Detective Agency, the full motion video? Was that a Immortality game? Like those are Huck City games all the way.
Yep. Although I must say, like, I really wasn't that impressed because I feel like that Chinatown Detective Agency we've seen before, Tunic seen before, Crusader Kings 3 been out for a long time. Lost Eidolons, I thought that was actually Chivalry 2 for a second. It looked almost identical, and then all of a sudden it kind of turned into like a top-down strategy game. That was the first game they showed. Curse to Golf looked good, but then we saw Trek to Yomi again.
Clash looked interesting. It was like more of a third-person action game that wasn't in one of the summaries I saw. It had a unique art style. I can't tell if I love it.
I did not like it.
It was like I didn't like it at first. It was almost like that JoJo's game, kind of similar to that, but this one grew on me more. Beacon Pines I thought looked really cool. That was the 4 story-based games. That was the last one. Same. I didn't understand the gameplay, but visually I thought that looked really neat.
Same.
Yeah, I thought, those 4 that they showed at the end were pretty cool. I think didn't you play one of them already, Huck?
Yeah, Paradise Killer, the first one they showed, yeah.
Which is out on Game Pass now, I think, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that looked interesting to me, but also I thought Kraken Academy looked kind of cool. And that Citizen Sleeper one, I feel like they didn't show as much of that one, but I was still kind of intrigued. So
there was one that looked almost like Legacy of Kain. It was like a top-down RPG with like a pixelized art style.
I think that is There Is No Light.
Yes, that looked kind of interesting.
I had a really hard time visually discerning the enemies and the background because everything was brown. So like the guy is swinging all over the place and effects are going everywhere, and I have no idea what he's hitting. Like, is he hitting trees? Is he hitting enemies? Like, I couldn't tell. I know that like the enemies, after looking at it a little closer, the enemies had like this little like slash kind of health bar thing under them. But other than that, I couldn't even really picture, like I couldn't see them. It was too fast. And a lot of the times it seemed like he was almost swinging like off the edge of the screen. Like the player was seeing stuff I was not even noticing before. It was kind of dark. I don't know. I wasn't vibing. And the animations looked a little stiff, didn't you think? Like the walk animations looked.
Yeah, it was like a throwback, and it's part of the style, I guess. But that was one I was not minding. Void Train looks cool, but I don't know what it is. I think I even bought early access when there was that Epic sale at some point. I haven't tried it yet. Whale Fall, like the name sounded amazing, and that game did nothing for me.
That looked like a student project that has a really good like comic book artist, and they were totally selling it on the comic book art part of it. But then the gameplay looked like a really blocky, kind of plain, like third-person action game, sort of. It was really also not doing it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I was, looking back over some of these now, even I'm having a hard time remembering which was which. Strangely, one that I actually was kind of looking forward to that maybe no one else is Escape Academy. Kind of just an escape room game, but it's like a co-op escape room game, and I think it's first person, is it not? So it's not like,
I missed
tons
that
of
one. I don't even have a note for that one here.
Oh, so well, like it's
just
escape room, and the idea is like you are like going to school to learn to escape, I guess, or something like that. So it's almost like Hogwarts or something for people who escape from rooms. But I just thought it was cool because it looked like there's tons of escape room games out there, but most of them are just kind of point and click things. This was, a first person thing that you actually move through the room and have to interact with things. And the fact that it was co-op seemed kind of cool. So I'm keeping my eye on that one. I agree.
The art style for the Escape Academy was giving me very much like Quantum Conundrum vibes. I don't know if you remember that Kim Swift game. Very similar art style, I found.
Yep, definitely.
Almost like what's that other shooter game that Valve does? That's kind of that similar thing.
Team Fortress.
Team Fortress, yeah, kind of similar style to that.
Yeah, I agree that Curse to Golf caught my eye. There's been a lot of kind of quirky, interesting golf games recently, like What the Golf. I was a big fan of on Apple Arcade. There's one that I actually bought on Steam recently, and I cannot remember what it's called now. I played a little bit of it. It's called like Post-Apocalyptic Golf or something like that. Golf Club Wasteland, it's called. And that one was kind of interesting and different. But another entry in that genre. I'm down for that.
It does seem weird, like these trends, how trends emerge in indie games. When it was all puzzle platformers for a while, like the Braid era and stuff like that. And this is like there's not a lot of action games. They're all kind of weird genre twists and, like I said, RPGifying detective dialogue systems. Gotta say, not sure I'm crazy about the new trend in indie games.
Well, I mean, I think it was just the selection of games this time around. Like, I mean, I think there is other stuff out there, but Immortality. Have you said really what you thought of this, Huck? Like, I know it was announced previously. I still feel like they didn't show very much, but
I don't remember what I said before, but I probably say that I'm interested in it because I like his other games. I really like Her Story.
Same company? Okay.
Yeah, Sam Barlow. Yeah,
and this one's a trilogy. It says.
I think it's just like three. Like I think
stories?
What it is it's like she has 3 movies, and you kind of have to scan through each of the 3 and find probably connecting clues between them, kind of thing, to solve the mystery. I imagine that's what it is. I don't think it's 3 like totally separate stories.
Yeah, I think you're right. But yeah, I mean, I feel like both her story and Telling Lies I was excited about and kind of bounced off. Actually, I don't even know if I played Telling Lies, but I got to give those another shot. And I mean, I'm certainly interested in this, but it felt like he was, and I mean, that's something else we should talk about, but they did do interviews with some of the developers. Some of them felt, I thought they went on a bit too long. And with him, it just felt like he didn't want to reveal anything about the game. So it was kind of just talking around stuff. And I don't know if it was that useful, but.
I tried to watch it on YouTube after the fact on Game Junk.
It's a pain in the ass.
No. So I went to IGN and GameSpot, and both of their feeds were like really choppy, and the audio was out of sync. Like, did anyone else find that? Like, I was like, why doesn't Microsoft just put the whole thing up on their site raw?
Yeah, like it was originally broadcast on Twitch, and I feel like there must have been some technical issue, and then everybody just took that feed, and that's all they had to work with or something. Like, I don't know if they ever put a proper version up.
I looked at a playlist later, and like 2 videos were hidden, it said, and stuff like that. So I don't know if there were issues with those ones specifically, but it's rewatching these ID events are not great.
And I hate this trend. Okay, you take a video and you literally take the like 1 hour countdown and leave that in your YouTube video. Like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, they never
like cut that out. What are you doing? Like, open up a software program, chop up that hour, and re-export it. Like, what the hell?
You can do it right in YouTube too.
Can you? Oh, what's the holdup then? Like, I don't. And then they don't put chapter markers in. Like if there's a chapter.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Huck gives you chapter markers.
Yeah.
YouTube.com/GameJunk.
IGN, GameSpot, lazy SOBs. That's what they are. Put in a chapter marker for when the time countdown ends. Come on.
Okay, couple more quick things. Did we talk about Flintlock, the Siege of Dawn? I mean, I don't have too much to say about it, but
that's a weird one.
Yeah, it was from the people who made Ashen. And it seemed like, a lot of indie stuff has a certain look, but this seemed like it was kind of like pushing AAA, kind of or straddling that space a bit, which I was like kind of surprised that was at this. But I really don't think they wasn't it just a cinematic or something? I don't know.
Yeah,
if they showed.
You know what vibes I was getting at the end, don't you?
What?
With that animal. That was a straight Embers of Miram ripoff. That's all I have to say.
I didn't even see this one.
Oh, well, you better go watch that trailer, bud, because it is a straight ripoff. I'm sensing a lawsuit in Paul Caporicci's future.
Oh, yeah.
I have to get on that.
Well, the other, there's another game like this that was just a cinematic thing. Lost Eidolons or something?
Yeah, that was the first one I was talking about. That looked like Chivalry 2. They showed some gameplay though.
Oh, okay. Man, it's
like a tactical.
I can't believe usually these indie showcases, I come out with 3 games that are I cannot wait. Tunic would be that way, but it was out that day, so I.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the king in the room, T-Pain.
What did
you guys think of those?
I mean, I didn't think they were that funny, but I mean, at least they're attention grabbing, I guess.
At least, how many were there? I saw 2, and I thought they were surprisingly funny for video game marketing materials.
Yeah, I thought they were okay. I mean, at the same time, if you're trying to sell someone on Crusader Kings, is that really your best way
really
to go about doing that?
It's viral, man. It's crazy marketing.
I guess.
It's crazy. So random. T-Pain. Crusader Kings. A match made in heaven.
You know what? I think it would have been better if they did more than 2. If they kind of did the first one, it was normal. He just sit there playing. And then the second one, he came with the priest outfit or whatever. And then the third one, he went over the top something else. And then kept upping it. I think that would have been more funny if they kept kind of the joke running. But they kind of just ended it after the second one.
I feel like there might have been 3, but maybe I'm wrong.
I only saw 2 on YouTube, but.
Yeah, so I don't think we mentioned Floppy Nights. This one,
I have it written here, and I didn't bring it up because I don't even remember. Oh, that looked like Dicey Dungeons, right? That one a bit?
a little bit, yeah. Like it's kind of like a strategy with like a card battler kind of thing. But I did like the cartoony art style. It looked kind of cool. I don't know, not too much else to say there. Just to go back to WrestleQuest, I was kind of intrigued by the fact that it actually had wrestling, like real wrestlers in it. Like I don't understand what the licensing is with this. Like if they just went to specific people or they're
I wonder if it has. I think they're all retired guys, right? So I wonder if that's something about it. They're not in like the current union or whatever of wrestlers. Like maybe they can get those guys.
yeah.
But I mean, like Macho Man is dead, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So they probably just go to his estate, I guess, and get permission. But
Which was, for a second, I thought it was going to be by the developers who made Broforce, which was basically copying likenesses of of every famous action star, and I don't think anything ever happened with that. So I don't know what kind of precedent that game set, but
yeah, I don't know. At first I was like, oh, is this actually like licensed by WWE or something? But it's not, as far as I can tell. But
Yeah, my first thought was like, wow, this is a huge lawsuit coming up. And then, but then when they had the real wrestlers on the stream, obviously it's legit. So
yeah,
I think every wrestler like negotiates that type of stuff, like who owns it, like who develops the character, and I think wrestlers have gotten more protective of that stuff. Like that's why it was Hollywood Hulk or Hollywood Hogan, I think.
oh right, yeah,
I don't know. I don't know much about it, to be honest. So, but I think
sure you don't. Sure.
I don't. Greg would know the exact.
yeah,
rules.
he must be looking forward to this game.
Might be his first foray into video games. Let him know.
Yeah, I think that's about it for me, though.
Oh, I'm definitely tapped on this thing.
Yeah, I mean the only game we didn't really touch on was Shredders, which is out also on Game Pass now, and I mean they didn't really show anything very exciting in that video. It was kind of like one snowboarder doing grinds and going down a ski hill. Like that was basically it.
Looked a little sparse.
It did look very sparse, very 1080 snowboarding from the Nintendo 64 days.
Yeah, it feels like it's an indie take on skate with snowboarding. I haven't seen any reviews or anything for it yet. Don't know anything about it.
Gotta check it out, though. It's on Game Pass.
Okay, so while we're talking Gangrene,
Whoa. Are we rating this bad boy?
I don't think we rate ID. I can't rate it because I just watched a bunch of random videos. So
Oh, okay. All right. Fine.
you guys can if you want, but
I don't know the trend. You're the rating guy. I don't care.
I feel like we don't rate these. It's
a hard one to rate because of some of the technical issues we were talking about. Like I felt like overall as a stream, it wasn't that strong.
if I had to give it a rating, a D.
That's good. That's a good
But
grade.
It's not. It's. I didn't watch the whole thing. I don't know the flow. It was random videos, so
It would have been lower if you watched the whole thing. I think I would have been. I would give it like an F. It was horrible.
Whoa.
Overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
F plus. F plus.
click. All right. Lastly, I'm not into the Starfield stuff, but there was. I do like that when they do updates, they're about 5 minutes. That's nice. I got to watch that 5-minute update into the Starfield episode 2, where they're talking about some new systems in the game. And I don't really like Bethesda games all that much. I try to get into them. It never works. Maybe this will be the one that I do. I always give them a chance pretty much. But they talked a lot about the 2 ideas that I thought were interesting. Companions and narrative building through companions and reactions, and dialogue systems, and reacting to decisions and generating unique experiences. 2 things that, companions have been done relatively well in Naughty Dog games, but typically not that big a deal. And specifically dialogue we've talked about a lot recently and how it's never good. And having lots of options that branch and come to similar places, or, it's a bunch of reading that I'm skipping, not that impactful. The idea of focusing on condensed great dialogue rather than choices was something I talked about recently. But there was a line that I have a quote here on that someone said that is the dream for dialogue. To me, if you're making a successful dialogue system in a game, the key to it, especially in a game like this, is when you look at the options for dialogue, there's not a right answer. Like, each answer is equally compelling. You don't know the consequences of each answer. I find like I either go down a path where I'm always picking good or bad, and things feel like a right answer sometimes in dialogue systems. So if they can actually pull off, a dialogue system that branches in a meaningful way and have the effect of, I don't know what's going to happen here. Actually, it reminds me of, I never played it, but Banner Saga. I feel like that had consequential decision-making, story stuff with dialogue. If they could pull that off in a AAA kind of RPG game, I would be way more excited about it.
So I can step in here and say that I feel like when you talk about companions, you're talking about the games you shat on last week, Mass Effect and Dragon Age. And I actually feel like Mass Effect 1, which everyone hates, does this really well, but the key is to not think about the good versus bad. If you go through and play that game just how you want to answer, I find it very enjoyable and not worry about your Paragon Renegade score. Because if someone's being a dick to you, you just pick the asshole answer and you give them shit right back, and it feels great.
But that feels like the right answer in that case. It's like a certain character is geared a certain way, so they're being a dick, so I'm going to be a dick back. That still feels like a right answer. Not like, whoa, if I do this, they might do this. Or if I do that, they might do that. And Mass Effect does it probably the best out of any game, or BioWare with dialogue systems, I agree. But there's still a sense of 4 decisions matter out of the 100 dialogues you do in the game. The rest is just overblown and bloated story and dialogue. So if you can condense that stuff where I'm actually remembering something I said to someone before and carrying forward, like, that's never been done as far as I can think of in a game. I don't play those types of game that much, or can't, like, dialogue driven games like Oxenfree I've never beaten and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't even know if it's possible. I really don't.
I feel like Disco Elysium maybe plays in that space a bit, although I haven't played enough of it to really know.
I meant to mention that when we talked about indie trends, it felt like a lot of games going down Disco Elysium influence too.
Yeah, I think so.
For me, like a game like Disco Elysium or any of these games you're talking about where, like, even I would say The Witcher 3, I haven't played that much of The Witcher 3, but I know it does this sort of stuff where stuff you do before can have repercussions down the road. But for me, actually, the game that does it the best is the Quantic Dream games, and specifically the newer versions that actually show you the branching dialogue tree. Because with games like The Witcher that are so massive, and even Dragon Age, Mass Effect, like, you don't really know what effect you're taking on. And that, for me as a player, is super frustrating. Like, I want to know, like, is this a good choice? I guess that's part of the game, part of playing the game, but because the games are so long, it really is, I don't like it at all. It reminds me of, like, Space Quest 1. You don't get the fucking tape in the very first level, and you're fucked. Like, that, I hate. That is not fun. So, like, if you have dialogue decisions like that are meaningful, like, that's not fun. I like with Detroit and stuff, you see the branching paths, and you could always go back and hop back to a spot where you feel like, okay, let me take the other route and see where it takes me. And you have the options, and it's transparent. Whereas, like in Space Quest 1, you can get to the end and be like, I don't know what to do, and you die. And I mean, back then you had to basically just, like, wait until the internet came around 10 years later to figure out what to do.
Quantic Dream is interesting because there's no failure states, right? Like, the story continues no matter what you choose, which makes their story generation really unique and effective. You could argue that Disco Elysium, the brief amount I've played, the sense I get is that dialogue, it's not that memorable or consequential. It's almost exhaustive and puzzle solving. Like, you build certain skills to get different options and find things out. It's almost not consequential. It's like I need to approach this a different way this time and see all the potential options rather than, hey, this is my unique playthrough of Disco Elysium. It's kind of the opposite. Like, you kind of see everything. I could be wrong. I don't want to say I know that for sure, but that's the vibe I got.
There are some like random dice rolly stuff in Disco Elysium. Like, for instance, in one playthrough, I think I talked about on the show, like I walked up to a trash can and the options were like kick it, punch it, or leave it. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. I guess I'll kick it. I kicked it. My guy had a heart attack and died. So, like, is that really that fun? Like, I mean, that's a story that could be the end of my game right there, right? But I mean, I was only half an hour in, and I just had that dice roll that said, okay, you die on this. I rolled like, the 20 or whatever you roll. That's bad. 1, I don't know. But like that kind of stuff, I don't really find that fun. Like, that just involves me reloading my game and not doing that again.
Well, so. And I think part of what the dialogue in Disco Elysium, what makes it stand out is just that the writing is really funny and interesting and different. And that, in itself
dark too.
Is
dark.
Yeah. And that in itself is something that, a lot of games just don't, you're just clicking through. You're like, okay, hurry up, get through this. But if it's actually like engaging stuff that you want to read or hear, then that's good.
And what Disco Elysium does well, I haven't played the whole thing, but it is a smaller play space, right? Like, it's dense rather than huge. Yeah. So if you're playing in a dense world with like 10 memorable characters that you're talking with all the time and you get to know them and you remember what you said to them, okay, that's a different. But if you're like trying to remember what you said to some random person in a town that you saw 20 hours ago, good luck. Like, you're not going to remember that. Like, so you slaughtered this person's cow. Okay, like, am I really going to remember I did that 20 hours ago and now they're pissed at me? Like, you're not going to remember that.
The classic example of a decision and dialogue thing that's done well is Megaton in Fallout 3. Like, deciding the fate of that town. And like it's a big decision. It has huge consequences. There's like ethics and stuff involved like that. Like, a game needs to be full of choices like that shape your game, and how do you have them interconnect and form a narrative without just being mini branches and reforming and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just an interesting conversation to have. I don't think they'll pull it off, but if they do, it would be a feat.
Well, the one other thing too from that they mentioned that I thought was interesting is they mentioned that, this idea of like trying to persuade someone. That there's like a game, there's like a mechanic there where you have to choose certain dialogue options to try and persuade someone of something. And that's interesting too, because I feel like, okay, is the dialogue interesting? That's one question. Does it have consequences? That's another question. But like, as you're doing the dialogue, are you engaged? Like, is there something to do there in terms of gameplay? And that's interesting, and I don't think has really been done much. So that could be cool too. But I mean, I find it interesting. We're talking about this 5-minute video they threw up, and it's like no gameplay, nothing. It's just like, there really isn't that much. Like, I guess
it was just interesting to me because we talked about like the failure of like LA Noire and other dialogue games last week or the week before. So
yeah, I mean, like, it could be complete BS. Like, I don't know how much of this they're just kicking around like general game design concepts they've talked about. But yeah, if they can prove that out and it actually works, then I would be interested for sure.
Okay. I think that's all for announcements and news. Let's get into what we played, which I assume will be Tunic. Should we all talk about Tunic? Anyone want to go first?
I can go, I guess. I really like the art style. I'm not totally sold on the collecting manual pages yet. I think it's kind of neat, but at the same time, I think so far it's well done. Like, I feel like I'm finding the manual pages at a good enough pace, and I'm finding things that I need. Just when I wanted the map, I found the map one, and just when I found the thing about running, I'm like, oh, okay, that's how you run. That's kind of cool. And it does feel a pretty open world that you can explore, but I never have felt lost yet. I never felt like, I'm just exploring for the sake of exploring. I feel like the path I'm going on is always the right path, and I don't feel like I'm being pushed that way, which is a sign of a good opening level design, I would say. But overall, I like the animations. They're very fluid. The combat's pretty fun so far. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I guess like this game it's been talked about for a long time. It's kind of a Zelda-like game where you're a cute little fox in a kind of perspective world. It's very similar to Death's Door. Like, I know it's been compared to old Zelda games. In terms of gameplay and design and structure, it's very similar to Death's Door. I feel like the combat in Death's Door is better, but the manual concept where you're finding old pages of a manual out of order with cryptic languages that are indecipherable. I don't know if I love the cryptic language part, but the actual look of the manual and like how that all gets assembled and scanned and you can zoom in and how there's hidden information in it is absolutely amazing to me. Like, aesthetically, it pleases me to an insane level. Like, I don't know if I love the design, but looking at those manual pages, like high res, zooming in on them, the art, the actual illustrations, oh my God, I love them. I absolutely love them.
I really like them too. I'm wondering, like, is this based on something specific? Like, I feel like I've seen, and I was just looking up now, like what the original Zelda instruction manual was, and it's like, it's a little bit similar, but I swear I remember some old NES games with manuals that were like half English, half Japanese, something like that. And like even the font they use, it feels so familiar. I'm like, there must be something specific they're referencing, but I don't know what it is.
I don't think so. I mean, people have compared it to Fez in terms of languages. I don't know yet if you actually decipher the language. My vibe is you don't. Like, you never learn what these things mean. Some things get revealed. I mean, that would be my biggest criticism. Why is this manual half English and half this other, like, symbols? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you write it in two different things? Now, if the game explains that in a good way, then I'll give it credit. But
see, and that's where I feel like it's just like trying to recreate like a retro experience, because, you know, like older games, you would just pick them up and start playing. You wouldn't really know how to do anything, and you just figure it out. And maybe the manual helps a little bit, but maybe it doesn't. So I feel like there's a bit of that there. But yeah, I also was wondering if you will eventually decipher the language, and so far I haven't come across anything that does. So
there are times when question marks get replaced with English, but I can't remember a time yet where the other language gets replaced. Right. So I like that visual puzzle element as long as it's done well. My biggest problem with the game is, like, I know it's learning on your own and Dark Souls influence, not guiding you through the process, although it kind of breaks that a bit by, like, the first area, go here, go here, go here on that one manual page, like, kind of wants to do both things, I feel like. But there are like weird design things that I can't believe are in there. Did anyone get to the first area and you hit the big tuning fork or the key, and there's a shortcut after that I didn't even see? I got stuck in that area forever, and then I find out you can lower a rope. I had to go to a YouTube video. I spent 40 minutes looking for that. I'm like, I didn't even see it. First of all,
I saw that, but
I didn't see it at all. Pardon? Did you say you're good at games?
I said I'm better at games than you.
Yeah, maybe. But, hey, here's an idea. This is my first time lowering a rope in this game. I haven't seen this mechanic anywhere else. Close the door behind me or do something to make me do it once so I don't waste an hour of my time. Honestly, if I wouldn't have gone to a YouTube video, I never would have found this, ever. I never would have gone back and said, oh, I missed this little stump with a white line on it.
Well, I don't think I missed a rope, but so the issue I'm having is more like the over under thing. Like, I don't know how far you guys have got. Like, I'm kind of in the West Gardens area now, and there's like a bunch of places where there's like bridges over top, and you're actually going underground.
Puzzles and exploration.
Yeah, and like, you know, Death's Door had this too a bit, where it's like you actually go under stuff and you just see a shadow of yourself moving, and you're kind of bumping around trying to find where the walls are. But there was one part where I was stuck, and I was literally just going around in circles, and I was like, I don't know where to go next. And then it was just this area that I could walk through that
There's like
looked
a
like a
little
wall.
path, and if you don't see it, like you're screwed. That seems like a really weird choice to me. I'm fine with encouraging exploration and discovery, like, and hidden things, but when the main path is hard to see, we're getting into some dicey territory as far as I'm concerned. But
interesting. I haven't got there yet. I just got the shield, so I think I'm not quite where you guys are yet.
I've beaten the first boss. I'm kind of moved on. I did that all today. I didn't start it till today, and I kept going back to it. Like it is a good game. It's much better than when I played the demo. The demo didn't have a lot of structure, and it was feeling out the combat systems. When you have goals and the manual pages, it's a totally different experience. So if you weren't sold on the demo, I would give it another shot. But the combat's decent. I don't know if I love it yet. Like I said, Death's Door's combat is better. But this definitely has a unique aesthetic and presentation. I mean, graphically, I absolutely love it. Again, Death's Door did the same thing with shadows behind buildings and then occasionally rotating the entire camera. Like, they're almost the same system. It's kind of crazy how similar these games are. Tunic that game was in development a while. Like, if Death's Door came out and kind of beat you to that and those ideas, or did it first, that would be pretty disappointing, I would think. So,
well, I mean, the thing I was even wondering is, in the demo, I don't remember as much Souls-like stuff in there. And I know there was, the difficulty was there a bit, but I mean, I don't know. I'm wondering how much of this stuff was added, and maybe that would be in a year, you probably can't just add that stuff in, but this does kind of lead me to what I wanted to say about this game, which is that, I mean, we were talking about indie game trends earlier. I'm getting sick of roguelike and Souls-like stuff being thrown into games. And you know what? I'm fine, FromSoft, do your thing. And I've seen some other games that have brought Souls-like stuff into them that I've actually kind of liked, Fallen Order. But man, I'm starting to get annoyed. And Frank, you were talking about the IGN review saying, what was it?
2 words. Whenever I see it in a review, I want to get it exactly what is in that review. I think I'm not even going to guess because it's very specific. And I hate when reviews say this. It's such a cop-out. Sorry. Was not prepared for this. Thank you for reminding me though, Sean. All right. Amazing 9. Tunic is an unapologetically challenging game. And this was the same thing with Ori when it came out. It's we want it to be hard. Everyone's saying we want our game to be hard. And, From Software games, they're doing their thing. They kind of are what they are. I don't feel like these games are doing it because they're doing quite the same idea. Those games are still 60 hours. With indie, it feels like a bit of a crutch of, hey, if we made this game easy, it'd be 4 hours. This is a way to have people play things over and over again and make our game 3 times as long as it would be if we just made it a reasonable difficulty level.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a factor. I don't know the motivations. I feel like in some ways it's just this is the cool new thing, so we're going to do our game in this style.
But it wasn't. Cuphead was the same. Ori, the first Ori, lots of indie games do this, and I feel like that's the main reason.
I mean, the difficulty thing is one, but I mean, obviously this game is bringing a lot of Souls-like stuff in with the flask system and stamina and all this stuff. And the stamina drives me nuts because when you get the shield and then it's you can only take a couple hits before now you're actually getting hit because your stamina runs out. That stuff bugs me. And I mean,
Souls was like that too. This is a 10-year trend.
Yeah, and maybe I'm just catching up to it now, but
I do feel like it dipped out and now it's back.
Yeah, and it's just part of it too is I'm playing Elden Ring and I'm oh, okay, well maybe I want to take a little break from Elden Ring. I'll try Tunic, and it's fuck, no, same thing again. And I've definitely just hit a wall where. So you beat the garden boss then, Frank?
Which one's the garden boss?
Oh, maybe. So there's like the Eastern Bell and the Western Bell, right? So did you just do the East Bell so far?
Oh, I've rung both of them, and then I'm at that, like, the first major boss with the 3 lights on it, that slab.
Okay, I haven't got to that guy yet. But somewhere along the way to that second bell, there's just a stretch of like just so many annoying enemies. Yeah, the crocodile guys with like the flying things shooting lasers at you. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Have you leveled up yet? Have you looked at the manual to learn how to
Yeah,
level?
I've got like some, like, I think I've got 2 attack, 2 defense, and 2 hit points, I think. But I don't know. It's like, it's within reach. Like I'm getting very close every time, but I'm just like, I don't know. It's getting frustrating.
I mean, that's why Elden Ring is so good. If you're getting frustrated, I can just teleport somewhere else and level up and like, okay, I'm done here for now. I'll go do something else. This, you're really in one area at a time. There's not the exploration. So it's just do it again. Do it again. You know what? Do it one more time until you get it.
Yeah.
But I have to, whoever drew the pages for the manual is a superstar. They are an art superstar. Like they should win a game award. Something has to happen because I am just, every page of that manual is incredible. I assume they're going to release it like as a book or something, and I would want to buy it. I see like marketing stuff all over this game. Like the item, I can't remember what, like all the different items. There's the one where it's looks like a fox pebble almost. I can't remember what it is.
The effigy?
Yeah, I don't know what it does. I've never used it, but
Oh, it just breaks open and there's coins inside.
oh, really? I should use. Okay, but I want a plush one of those.
Yeah,
That's got to be a pillow or something like that.
if I was the next Shovel Knight, definitely.
Exactly. It's got potential. If I was the lawyer in Jurassic Park, I would be getting excited. We're gonna make a fortune off this thing.
Now, I wonder if the artist actually drew them on paper and then scanned them high res, or if they just used some sort of like paper texture behind when they drew it on the computer. I'd be interested to hear that tip.
Yeah, there's definitely some tech, like in terms of making it look like a manual, but just the layout, like the lines that surround different parts of the manual. It's not like it's consistent. It's not like taking a template and applying it to every page. Every page is a work of art.
Totally. Yeah, it's really,
I'll
really
send
nice.
you a link of the original Zelda.
And the map, like the map is actually good. The fact that depending on what page of the manual you're on, you see where the fox is. And that is all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, once you realize you can actually see yourself on the map, you're like, oh, okay, this is so much easier. I love it. This is nice.
Yeah, Zelda seems like it's definitely an influence.
Yeah, I don't think there's a map. Well, there's a map of screens of the game, but there's no hand-drawn map as far as I can see.
Man, there's some ugly drawings in this manual.
Yeah.
Art has come a long way. Video game art specifically. Yikes. All right. Yeah, Tunic's great. It's I'm in a weird spot now where I'm like, do I want to keep playing Tunic or go back to Elden Ring? Because like the buttons are drastically different. Like LB is block in one, and in this one it's swap out menu. It's
that reminds me.
With that.
Yeah, the LB to go to your inventory screen. I kept hitting that accidentally a few times, and then it's like you get into it and you start hitting buttons and you're just swapping things out.
100%.
Stuff's hitting you. It was the worst.
Just pause the game. Why?
Yeah, I don't get that either.
Bunch of heroes.
Yeah, but it is good. I'm enjoying it, and I'm going to keep jumping back and forth with that and Elden Ring.
Yeah, I've been playing a bit of Gran Turismo 7. Been getting my daily workouts in. Although I didn't 2 days because, as people probably saw, the game was down, like literally down for 3 days. A brand new game. How in the hell does that happen? Blue Haze be damned. That is ridiculous. That a brand new game, you just can't even play it.
Yeah, when you were talking about it, I thought it was like a couple hours or something, but then I looked it up and I was like, wow, I can't. That's crazy.
So it was the whole game, not just like the daily challenges?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It was like, first it got stuck on a loading screen, then they patched it, and then it was like stuck on some menu. You couldn't do anything. And then there's like this written message on the next update from the creator. I can't remember their name, but I'm like, this game is, again, it's the creepiest game I've ever played in my life. I captured a video. I forgot to post it on the Discord. It is like the creepiest video I've ever captured in video game history. And it's literally a racing game with dialogue, and it just creeps me out. But I am liking it. Racing games, it's like, how long do I stick with it? I'm getting to my old memories of Gran Turismo, like doing a license for gold 500 times and being like, I'm never going to be good at racing games. Why am I doing this? This is pointless. I don't get cars. I suck. I'm the worst. And then you get gold and you're like, maybe I'm not the worst with cars. And then you do the next trial and you're like, no, I am the worst. I just did it so many times that it was inevitable. Like those marginal like increments, like it's just a matter of doing it over and over and over again. Anyway,
Yeah,
I'm liking
that
it
a lot lately.
It's still
Just need to go back to high school when you have endless amounts of time to just grind away those license races.
but it's okay. It's good. I'll probably play it some more.
Speaking of patches, I just wanted to touch briefly on the Elden Ring patch, the most recent one.
Oh, adding NPC markers on the map. What a godsend from software.
So that's cool. I mean, it's surprising that they did that, but that's cool. But I was a little annoyed by some of the nerfs because it's like, like you've built up your game to rely on something. I was using that Hoarfrost Stomp a lot, and then they like halved the damage on that thing. And it's like
Everything I used went up. I was using
really?
Oh yeah, nothing I used got nerfed.
I'm just gonna have to find something else, I guess. But it's just annoying. Like I get that there's PvP in the game. I think that's the main reason for changing some of the stuff up. But it's like, when people have been like gearing their game towards something and then all of a sudden it just changes and you have no warning, like it's kind of annoying.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just say I'm not much further than I was. I beat like 4 more bosses. I fucking love Elden Ring. Like, it's amazing. It's going to be tough to beat for Game of the Year. The spectacle of this game is ridiculous. And as I said, sorry, Huck, no offense to Epic Dumpster Bear. Someone said in the Discord, epic is a word that gets thrown around a lot. Like, this is epic. This is so epic. I appreciate the comedy of Epic Dumpster Bear. But this is the first game that in every way is truly epic. It is the only game that deserves the adjective epic. It's epic in every way. The boss fights are epic. The size is epic. The story. No other game is allowed to use that word ever again.
What about games?
Epic Dumpster Bear 3
developed by Epic.
Changes. Or is there an Epic Jank Brain potentially? Like
You never know. Stay tuned.
a segue? Getting into the
Crossover.
Epic?
A real crossover. Tag team.
All right, that's it for me.
Yeah, nothing else for me. Huck?
Nope. Nothing.
All right. Well, I guess I'll say again, youtube.com/Game Junk Podcast. I'll say again, the Discord's been heating up. Ever since Discord allowed to switch accounts on the same app, before you used to have to log out, it was so annoying, and I have 2 accounts, and now I can bounce back and forth. It is there's freebies on there, freebie channels. People are dropping Steam codes and stuff. Like the YouTube.
Pick it up.
Let's get to that monetization point. If you're listening to this, comment, like. I hate being that shill, but it's actually the comment.
Subscribe, I think, is the word you want.
Subscribe, do stuff, whatever. But there's actually some good commenters on there. It's pretty good. So thank you for people who do comment. I do read them, and like,
yeah, it's nice to know that people
it's actually
are
like
listening and
Returnal.
watching.
People's comments about Returnal made me go back and play it and love it. So thank you. Anyway, next week is Game Junk Prototype 100. We don't know what's going to happen yet. Nobody knows.
Crazy.
It might just be another show. We don't know.
Could be the last episode.
Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe we won't even get there.
Yeah.
True. Anything can happen.
Life's crazy. So we'll see. Maybe something big in the works. It sounds like what I'm saying, that there is something big in the works. There isn't right now. There's some it sounds like I'm hyping up some huge event next week. That's yet to be determined. So it's also Oscar night next Sunday too. So
Oh yeah.
Conflict of interest right there.
might have to delay a week to prep for episode 100. Who knows? Stay tuned. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye-bye.